Another process by which behavior is changed is through extinction. Extinction is a procedure or condition in which reinforcement is terminated for a previously reinforced response. If a behavior was previously reinforced by positive reinforcement, we no longer allow those reinforcers to occur following the behavior. If a behavior was reinforced by negative reinforcement, we will no longer allow escape or avoidance of the situation to happen following the behavior. Let's discuss a few examples. If a child yells and screams in the store and mom always gives them a lollipop to quiet them, extinction would require that we no longer give the lollipop in response to the behavior. Over time, with all else remaining the same, the yelling and screaming behavior would be extinguished because it is no longer being reinforced by receiving a lollipop. If another child yells and screams in art class because they hate it and the teacher always sends them out of the room, extinction would require that we no longer provide escape from art class and made the student stay in the class. Over time, with all else remaining the same, the yelling and screaming behavior would be extinguished because it is no longer reinforced by escaping art class. For extinction to be successful, you must have control of all the sources of potential reinforcement. That means for the child in the store, we must make sure that dad doesn't get fed up and just hand over a lollipop, or that a nice stranger doesn't come over and try to calm the child by giving tickles and making goofy faces. For the student in the art class, we must make sure that a substitute teacher doesn't come in and send the child out of class. For extinction to be ethical and durable, you should always teach a competing, or preferably an alternative behavior. For the child at the grocery store, it might be asking nicely for a lollipop instead of screaming. For the child in the art class, it might be teaching them to ask for a break. For the example shown below, a smoker might create a self-management plan where they abstain from smoking altogether, but program for a competing behavior of gum chewing and an alternative behavior of meditation. The final category of consequences we will discuss is punishment. Just as with many of the terms we have been discussing, ABA does not load the word punishment with any emotional meaning. Punishment involves a stimulus or event presented or changed as a consequence of a behavior and results in the weakening or reduction in the occurrence of that behavior in the future. Just as in reinforcement, there are two categories of punishment: positive and negative. And again, the positive and negative mean add or subtract, not good or bad. Positive punishment is an aversive stimulus or a condition, a punisher, added to the environment, contingent on the occurrence of a behavior. Some examples would be spanking, yelling, snapping a rubber band on your wrists. However, just because it seems like it would be unpleasant, it's only actually punishment if the behavior it follows decreases in the future. Let's think about this in terms of children getting scolded. Many times, parents will scold children thinking that this will reduce their behavior, that this is a punishment. But if the child continues to engage in the behavior that resulted in the scolding, did it have a punishing effect? No. It is only a punisher if the behavior was reduced. Negative punishment is the removal or reduction in a pleasant or desired stimulus condition contingent on the behavior occurring, which results in the reduction of the behavior in the future. The most common examples of these are timeout, losing privileges like TV or phone. Again, it is only a punisher if it actually reduces the behavior in the future. Many times, children are put in timeout thinking that this is a punishment. But if the class or activity that they were engaged in prior was actually something where they were trying to escape or avoid, we have not actually applied a punisher by using timeout, but applied a reinforcer. One final note on punishment. In ABA, interventions are designed to make use of as many reinforcement-based strategies as possible, and only using punishment-based strategies as a last resort. And if they are used, always in combination with reinforcement. However, think back to your childhood and maybe even something that happened just recently. We learn from punishment nearly every day. Some young children learn not to touch the stove because it burned them. You learn not to say hello to the mean old guy down the road because he always yells at you. And you learn to avoid certain intersections because the traffic is always so bad. Punishment happens all of the time, and we probably would not learn nearly as effectively without it.